obviously delivered in the main event. It's capped off with a war. Just give us your thoughts on Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett delivering a 5-round battle.
Yeah, I mean, what a couple. So Paddy Pimblett at the weigh-ins yesterday says, I'm going to knock this motherfucker out tomorrow. And I was like, that's interesting. And he never abandoned that game plan. Even when, he got dropped a couple times, I kept waiting for him. I'm like, he's eventually going to have to shoot and try to submit him. Now, I didn't know Paddy Pimblett had a chin like that till tonight. And, yeah, absolute dogfight in a war, and much respect to both guys.
We haven't seen Justin yet, so we don't know what his status is physically. But, I mean, is the interim, is the unification fight have to be next? Or is there a case if he's hurt and needs to be out for a while?
Apparently he's 100%. So we sent Paddy Pimblett straight to the hospital, and then we're going to send Gaethje too. And Gaethje's like, believe me, I've been in plenty of wars. I'm good. So as far as we know right now, he's healthy.
You publicly said this is the last chapter of your career. You want to go out with the title. Give us your thoughts on what tomorrow night means to you.
Oh, it means everything. I've committed my whole life to this, and every fight's the biggest, but this is the biggest fight of my life. I cannot wait to carry this torch, this title on my back, and represent this country like it should be represented.
Thank you, sir. Good luck to you. Justin Gaethje, ladies and gentlemen.
And now our tale of the tape for this lightweight fight. 4 years apart, with similar height and some differences in reach. All right, now for the official introductions, here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And when the action begins, a referee in charge of the octagon, Yves Lavigne. And now, this is the moment UFC fans around the world have been waiting for. Live from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Justin, Paddy says he's been preparing for you like he prepared for the Michael Chandler fight. Is that a mistake, and why is this different from Chandler?
Well, you obviously seen me fight Chandler. I have, better skills, and I beat him. But I don't care what he says, what he thinks. If he thinks I'm Michael Chandler, again, it goes back to my first statement. I love everything he's saying right now.
And last one, your manager said he would like to see you fight Conor McGregor at the White House. At this stage in your career, would you take the money fight, or would you be focused on the undisputed title next?
I'm only focused on Paddy Pimblett, January 24th. How many times do I got to say I don't expect to be alive after these fights? I go in there willing and ready to give everything, and that's the same. I'll be on the White House card no matter what. Who I'm fighting doesn't matter.
Some critics think you don't have enough experience for a title fight. What is the fight that earned you this title shot?
Winning my last fight, being on a 7-fight win streak, the longest in the lightweight division. The critics can stick it up their asses. I'm the one who's fighting for the belt.
No one walked into UFC 324 thinking this fight would turn into a near execution. People expected violence, sure. They expected chaos, blood, maybe a wild finish. But almost nobody expected Justin Gaethje to push Paddy Pimblett to the edge the way he did, round after round, until even seasoned veterans watching cage side looked uncomfortable. By the time it was over, Joe Rogan wasn't hyping the moment anymore. His tone changed. This had crossed into something else. UFC 324 was supposed to answer one question. Was Paddy Pimblett really ready for the deep end of the lightweight division, or had he been protected by matchmaking and hype? And on the other side, could Justin Gaethje, at 37 years old, still deliver elite level violence against a younger, faster, fearless contender? What happened inside that octagon gave an answer that was far more brutal than anyone predicted. From the moment the fighters made the walk, the tension felt different. Pimblett looked loose, smiling, bouncing, feeding off the energy like he always does. Gaethje looked locked in, jaw set, eyes cold, walking with the kind of purpose veterans get when they know exactly what kind of night they're about to create. Joe Rogan even mentioned it on commentary before the first punch was thrown, pointing out that Gaethje wasn't smiling, wasn't acknowledging the crowd, wasn't playing any games. He was there to hurt someone. The opening bell rang, and round 1 immediately shattered expectations. Pimblett didn't come out reckless. Instead, he surprised Gaethje by touching him with jabs and quick leg kicks, showing respect for the power but not backing away. For the first minute, it looked competitive. Rogan pointed out Paddy's movement and confidence, noting that he wasn't frozen by the moment. But then Gaethje did what Gaethje always does. He stepped in, planted his feet, and threw a left hand that changed the entire tone of the fight. The punch landed clean. Pimblett went down hard. Not a slip, not a stumble. He was dropped. The crowd gasped, and Rogan's voice jumped as he reacted in real time, calling it exactly what it was. A massive shot that would have ended a lot of fights right there. Gaethje followed him to the ground, throwing heavy punches, not wild, not panicked, but measured and cruel. Pimblett survived, scrambled, and somehow got back to his feet, but the message had already been delivered. And this wasn't going to be a fun brawl. This was going to be a test of survival. As the round continued, Gaethje pressed forward, cutting off the cage, hammering Pimblett's legs with kicks and targeting the body. Rogan began talking about how Gaethje's pressure forces mistakes, how it's exhausting to deal with even when you're not getting hit clean. By the end of the round, Pimblett's face already showed damage, and Gaethje walked back to his corner calm, breathing steady, like he'd just finished warming up. Round 2 is where the fight started to feel uncomfortable to watch. Pimblett tried to rally, throwing combinations and attacking the legs again, but Gaethje's counters were brutal. Midway through the round, Gaethje's thumb caught Pimblett in the eye during an exchange. It wasn't intentional, but it mattered. Rogan immediately pointed it out, noting how Pimblett was blinking, how that eye looked compromised. Seconds later, Gaethje landed another heavy right hand that snapped Pimblett's head back. This is where Rogan's commentary shifted. Instead of excitement, there was concern. He started talking about how eye damage affects depth perception, how it makes it nearly impossible to see punches coming, and how dangerous that is against someone like Gaethje. Pimblett kept fighting, kept throwing, but his reactions were slower. Gaethje took him down briefly, controlled him, and punished him with short strikes that don't look flashy but do incredible damage. By the end of round 2, Pimblett was bleeding heavily. His corner worked frantically on the eye, and Rogan questioned out loud how much longer he could take this kind of punishment. That question hung in the air as round 3 began. Round 3 was Pimblett's best round, and that's what made the fight so compelling. Against all logic, against all damage, he came out aggressive. He landed leg kicks, found his rhythm, and even snapped Gaethje's head back with a clean right hand. The crowd came alive, and Rogan's voice lifted again, praising Pimblett's heart and toughness. He talked about how very few fighters could take the shots Pimblett had already absorbed and still push forward like this. But even in Pimblett's best moments, Gaethje never looked rattled. He kept walking forward, kept firing back, and kept landing leg kicks that visibly slowed Pimblett's movement. There was a moment when Pimblett attempted a flying knee, desperation mixed with confidence, and Rogan reacted instantly, pointing out how risky that was against someone with Gaethje's timing. When the round ended, many observers gave it to Pimblett on volume, but the cost was clear. He was breathing hard. His face was a mask of swelling and blood. Gaethje sat on his stool, composed, listening, nodding, ready for more. Round 4 is where the phrase, "nearly killed," started circulating online, and it's not hard to see why. Gaethje came out like he smelled blood. He stuffed Pimblett's attempts to create space and trapped him against the cage. The shots weren't just hard, they were systematic. Hooks to the body, uppercuts inside, short elbows. Pimblett fired back, but his punches had lost their snap. Joe Rogan stopped calling individual strikes and started speaking more broadly, saying this was damage accumulating, that this is how careers shorten. He mentioned Gaethje's experience, how he knows when to push and when to let someone suffer. At one point, Pimblett staggered backward, clearly hurt, and the crowd roared thinking the finish was coming. Somehow, again, Pimblett stayed upright. Veterans watching cageside were shaking their heads. Cameras caught former champions reacting with disbelief. This wasn't hype anymore. This was a war. By the end of round 4, Pimblett walked to his corner unsteadily. His corner asked him if he could see. He nodded, but it didn't look convincing. Round 5 was chaos, fueled by desperation. Pimblett knew he needed something big. He came forward, throwing everything he had left, and for a brief moment, he almost turned the fight. A scramble ended with Gaethje momentarily off balance, and Pimblett poured on punches. Rogan exploded on commentary, shouting about how this was unbelievable, how Pimblett refused to go away. But Gaethje recovered. He always does. He clinched, slowed the pace, leaned on Pimblett, and drained whatever energy remained. The final minute was 2 exhausted fighters trading on pure will, but the damage was undeniable. When the horn sounded, both men stood there, battered, breathing hard, knowing they'd been through something special and terrible. The decision was unanimous for Gaethje. No controversy, no debate. But the story didn't end there. As Pimblett left the cage, cameras showed the extent of his injuries. His face was swollen beyond recognition. He was rushed to the hospital for evaluation, and Dana White later posted a photo that shocked even longtime fans. Joe Rogan addressed it after the fight, choosing his words carefully. He praised Pimblett's toughness, but made it clear that this was a different level of damage than most fights. He talked about how important recovery would be, how taking fights like this too early can have long-term consequences. The reaction from UFC veterans poured in almost immediately. Fighters praised Gaethje's performance, calling it vintage, disciplined violence. Others focused on Pimblett, saying that while he lost, he gained respect in a way few fighters ever do. Some questioned whether the matchmaking came too soon. Others said this was exactly the kind of fight Pimblett needed to grow. Ilya Topuria added fuel to the fire with his comments, mocking Pimblett and congratulating Gaethje, clearly eyeing a future unification bout. Analysts began debating where Pimblett goes from here and whether Gaethje had just earned another title run, but the lasting image of UFC 324 isn't the belt or the scorecards. It's Joe Rogan's voice shifting from excitement to concern. It's the realization that what fans saw wasn't just entertainment. It was a reminder of how thin the line is between glory and serious harm in this sport. UFC 324 will be remembered not just as a fight, but as a moment when hype met reality in the most brutal way possible. Justin Gaethje proved he's still one of the most dangerous men in the division. Paddy Pimblett proved he has more heart than anyone ever questioned. And everyone watching learned that sometimes the fights you don't expect to go this far are the ones that leave the deepest mark. That's why people are still talking about it. That's why Joe Rogan's reaction mattered, and that's why UFC 324 will live on as one of those nights where the octagon felt less like a stage and more like a proving ground. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more MMA breakdowns.